Welcome back to 365 Unlimited. We are back with another episode. Fired up to talk to you guys. Tons of stuff in the news lately as far as it comes when it comes and pertains to football, college football playoff, the Heisman Trophy finalists, NFL football playoffs are approaching. Carter is representing the merchandise. It is a freaking fantastic night. We're
Go
back in
grab
the
it.
building. Go grab it. That's a fact. Shopify. I think it's UN365 limited.myshopify.com. Go grab your merch, sport it, represent us. We'll repost it,
Perfect
tag you.
Christmas gift.
It is.
Perfect Christmas.
That's a fact. That's a fact. All right, let's get into it. Gannon, Carter, I know they're chomping at the bit. Me personally, I watched college football this year more than past years. I'll say that because Gannon knows more than anybody. Carter as well. I haven't been the biggest college football.
No, he doesn't buy into it.
I'm an NFL guy, and that's what it is. And I think after this episode, you'll kind of understand why. I believe
you're a weekend college football fan. You'll flip.
I think that's probably a good term.
Like I remember when I was home for Thanksgiving break, you were doing stuff, and like you weren't having the Michigan Ohio State game on for a while. Like I don't know what that's about, but it's just.
But he'll play the Jaguars versus the Titans.
But let's sit down and watch Red Zone and watch
Patriots and Steelers.
Yeah,
on Thursday night
you'll
football.
watch
when half
Patriots
the
Chargers.
NFL has no good starting quarterbacks. Yeah. Let's get into it. Let's talk about this. The playoffs. Let's get right into the top four teams. Texas, Washington in the one game, in the 2-3, and then Bama, Michigan in the 1-4 on the other side. A lot of controversy out there. In my opinion, I know Budenz is kind of in agreement. We'll get into some of this in a little bit here. I think they got it right. This is one of the first times that I haven't had a complaint with the committee and everything that's gone on. Obviously, there's two sides to this. A couple people in the sports media world, I think, have said this. Like, you can have sympathy and feel devastated for Florida State, which is 100% true. They did everything to earn the spot. But again, we're just not handing it out here just the first spot to be in the college football playoff. Like, there's an entertainment factor in this involved in putting the best game and best product out there so we don't have another Georgia TCU game. But people are even comparing it to that. When they had Max Duggan, who was the Heisman winner, right? Like, or he's a finalist, whatever.
But like finalist, Caleb Williams won.
Yeah, Caleb Williams won it, but still Heisman finalists. Like at the end of the day, they still had a good guy that got him there. Like there's not a guy for Florida State. 55 yards of passing against Louisville, like in a conference championship game. Like they had to come out and dominate that. I don't even think they should have been ranked 5th. I think they should have been ranked 6th. I think Georgia's better. Georgia has an argument to be a top 4 team. Yeah. Obviously, how the cards shuffled down the stretch here with the 4-man team format that they got here, they lost out in that. Georgia on any single day could be the best team in the country, in my opinion. Like that's one of the 1 or 2 games out of 10 if they play Bama. I think that they lose that with everything kind of fell in Bama's way that game and just lackluster performance from Georgia a little bit. But that's a whole nother discussion. We'll see who's even on the field for the Florida State-Georgia game in the Orange Bowl coming up at the New Year. But I think these games are very intriguing. A lot of new first-timers with the Texas-Bama side or with the Texas-Washington side. But I think they got it right. Like, you can be devastated in all this before I let Carter get into his opinion on this. But you can have sympathy. And, like, it sucks. Like, there's a feel for it. Like, and if Jordan Travis didn't get hurt, they probably would be in it. But, like, that's the reality of it. It's like the quarterback MVP discussion. Like, quarterback means so much and has so much weight on a football field, no matter what level it is, that if that guy's taken away, it hurts your team at the end of the day. When you have these other dominant and good teams, like at the end of the day, who are you going to leave off out of those 4 teams, the college football playoffs, like ahead of them? Like they earn their spots too. It's not to take away from those 4 at the end of the day, when also they play in the ACC, which is out of the Power 5 at the bottom. Maybe some of the Big Ten with some of the stuff with the West going on there, but like it's not good Power 5 football this year.
So I think one team that came to mind, I think it was 3-4 years ago. Remember UCF?
Yeah.
They were undefeated. Mm-hmm. They didn't get in. Now, obviously, we're talking about talking about UCF versus an ACC school. So I get that. Personally, I mean, it's hard because I hate Florida State with a passion. But I also understand that, like, you did what you had to do. Like, you went undefeated. You won the ACC. Like, what else My thing with
they couldn't have done anything else, but that's just the reality of the situation.
That's frustrating.
And I don't think you need to, like, the quarterback situation. I get it, but it's kind of similar to, like, let's say Trevor Lawrence is out for the year. Should the Jaguars still make the playoffs?
No, but their record wouldn't demonstrate it.
Again, they got to go play the remainder of the year out. It's completely different.
But they're going to make the playoffs.
It is completely different, but in the sense, dude, like, no matter when the injury happens.
It's different, but the concept is the same.
Yeah.
And obviously, Michigan and Washington are no-brainers.
Yeah.
I think Alabama's a no-brainer personally. I know people hate Alabama.
I hate Bama, but I think that's a no-brainer. You beat a 29 win. They beat a team that hasn't lost in almost 3 years. Like, come on.
Based on that, I want to chime in quick here on that, because Bama intrigues me a lot, and I know Budenz, we had texted about it after the game.
Dude, if I had to bet right now, they're my pick.
I was gonna say the same thing, but like, here's the thing with Bama is, like, past years you've never typically, like, you never really see a team under Nick Saban that looks unprepared, that looks undisciplined, that kind of lacks overall.
They're just inexperienced, I think.
I think inexperience had a lot to do with it, but there was poor attitude. There was negativity in that locker room for damn sure. And, like, yes, it was early on in the season, but as the season developed, this is the first year I think in a while we've seen Saban truly have to, like,
but
not just rely on pure talent. Like, he
cut you off, but, like, his Jalen Milroe, like, that's all that the progression's been this year from start to finish. Like, he got benched in week 3 or 4 against. Who was it? Like, I can't even remember what the game was now off the top of my head. But to go from bench to winning the game there to that Auburn game the last second with the 4th and 30, like, it's Jalen Milroe. Like, and it's crazy the evolution and the confidence. Like, they're playing with house money. Like, so what? Like, why not? Like, nobody gave them a chance early on when they couldn't even have their starting quarterback. But that hasn't been the case before. Like, Nick Saban, knock on wood, he's had starting quarterbacks throughout the years at Alabama. A lot of them haven't gone on to maybe have a great NFL career. Tua being one of the few ones right now that, it's letting it eat in the NFL. But
maybe Jalen Hurts.
True. But, like, that's a half Oklahoma, half whatever. But I'm just talking, like, over the time, Budenz and I understand when we're talking about college football, like, back when we were younger watching the stuff like that. But those guys won at Alabama, right, at the end of the day, because he had a system quarterback. They had people that bought in. Like, that. There was a system. But like you said, there was inconsistencies at the beginning of the year with those flaws there. And, boom, it's crazy to me.
Well, that's why.
Wasn't, like, you knew the athleticism was there with Milroe, but it was up here with him and his determination with the team, how they just went around him.
Well, one thing that hurts, what Jalen Hurts said and what Jalen Milroe repeated in his emotional press conference post-game interview, he said, I had a purpose before anyone had an opinion. And it's facts. And to be able to fight through adversity throughout the season and to be able to get to the point where you're at right now, heading into the playoffs to face Michigan, honestly, it's astonishing in itself. And yes, I get it. It's Alabama. We repeatedly have seen them in the playoff, in this situation where they're fighting to win a national championship. And yes, it's thanks to Nick Saban and his recruiting ability, the talent that he brings in the way that he simply coaches a football game. But that's why I truly think, like, that's my favorite as well. And, like, I don't watch a ton of college ball, but what I watched this past weekend and the way that Bama's fighting right now, they're increasingly getting better. I was talking to one of our high school coaches this past week just about the college football playoff in general. And I told him, I said, in my opinion, Alabama's increasingly getting better, and I don't think they've reached their peak.
Yeah,
I don't think we know who they are yet, whereas Michigan has reached their peak. I think
we already saw how they could get beat.
We know who Michigan is, and we know.
No, you don't.
Okay, let's hear it.
No, you don't. Michigan's going to beat Alabama. They are.
JJ McCarthy can't throw the ball, dude. Iowa took away the run game at times. A couple of different things go early.
Iowa sucks, Ruckman. Iowa's terrible.
Yeah, but we got to look at the pure football here. I understand we couldn't score points, bro. I understand that, but our defense.
A sumo wrestler quarterback.
Yeah, well, I'm looking past. I understand. You can keep saying all that. I barely watched the Iowa football with the audio on all year. I watched more of the defensive series than I did the offensive series. Yes, Iowa's defense is the top 5 defense of the country. Like, they played that good against Michigan. If there was a roughing the passer call before Iowa fumbled and they didn't have that long punt return, yes, what ifs? But it would have been a 1-score game going into the 4th quarter. Like, that's just, again, at the end of the day, Michigan should have scored 40 to 50 points if they were that good, in my opinion, going through it. Yes, so be it. Iowa's defense is good. but they should have been worn out for how long that they were on the field, but they didn't. J.J. McCarthy let them go 3 and out. Their offense sputtered at certain times. I didn't see enough out of him to throw the ball consistently. People say, yeah, well, Iowa had a good defense. I talked to some of my friends that are Michigan fans. But you're going against Alabama this next matchup. I would say, yeah, statistically Iowa's better, but there's more athletes and more dogs at the end of the day on the Alabama defense that are going to be playing on Sundays here soon. Like that's the whole thing there. Like that just scares me. Yeah, they wanted Florida State. You saw the video of the reaction of the Michigan locker room, like after that happened when they saw Alabama in there. It's not so much the Alabama factor. I just think Michigan's really one-dimensional with Blake Corum in that run game. And if you can shut some of that down, JJ from start to finish, I don't know.
Talk about that Michigan defense. Will Mueller be able to beat that Michigan defense?
Yeah, but he's seen the quickness and the strength like the SEC guys. And I'm not like to fall in the SEC bias, but he's already seen that. Michigan defense is good, but Milroe's good, dude. Like the moves that he makes against Georgia's defense just this last week, he's a playmaker with his feet.
I think it's going to be interesting because you got Alabama who they're getting behind Milroe now. Yes. And I think in the beginning, like what you mentioned, they were kind of rocky. But I think people are sleeping on Michigan and what they've been through this year.
True.
Because they've had so much controversy around them and they're getting together. I think they're going to win the whole thing. One thing that I think people are like, is Texas, like this may be unpopular. I don't think Texas is that good. I'm not gonna
lie to you. I personally agree.
I don't think Texas is the Big 12 sucks.
He's been inconsistent as hell.
The Big 12 is terrible. Agree. The Big 12 sucks.
Now Texas is good though. Like nobody's talking about this, but Texas football and that whole buzz with that program is back with them going to the SEC. Like it's been a lot of years since they've been good. Like that's why some of the stuff is good for college football. But yeah, no, definitely out of the 4 teams, like I think Washington is underrated out of all this. Like they might put a few points up on Texas. Like
I think it's gonna be, I mean, prediction, this could be totally wrong. Michigan, Washington.
I want to see Michigan win it all. I'm a Big Ten guy till the day I die. Like if I had anything to say in it, I don't want to see Bama go through it. And
I mean, I'd see Bama. I hate the Big Ten too. I think they're typically their conference. Everyone's like,
this is the year for the Big Ten. This is the chance if they can get past Bama. Like somebody said this last week, I was listening to the SEC Network. I think they said the storyline between the Bama Michigan game, like that's the biggest buzz and storylines probably in the last 20 years. With Nick Saban and his pedigree with their program from their like rise to their success this year, and then all the backstory with Michigan this year with their scandals and all that. Like those 2 storylines are massive right now in the Rose Bowl.
So I mentioned the defense for Michigan just to throw a stat out here. Michigan's attempting to become the first team to allow less than 10 points per game since the Alabama 2011 team. So talk to me about that, Gannon. You're picking. You saying you think Bama's got this game, Gannon?
I don't know right now, dude. That's the game I'm tossed. Like it's still early on. I'm not picking.
So just right okay, then don't pick it. But let's do this, Gannon. You tell me what it's going to take.
That's going to be the best game of the 4. I think that's the national championship right there. That's the 2 best teams in my opinion.
Tell me what it's going to take for Jalen Milroe and the offense to be able to beat Michigan's defense to win the game. And Carter, you tell me what it's going to take for Michigan's offense to be able to beat Alabama and win the game. So pretty much in general, Carter, again, I know you're not taking a team yet, but keys to victory for Bama, keys to victory for Michigan. Let's hear it.
Like Milroe's been enough of a threat now through the air, down the middle, and up the sidelines. Like you got to respect that. Now you're playing the play action game with their back. I can't think of his name off the top of my head right now, but he's elusive. I don't know if you saw the run with the fake toss for them to clinch the SEC championship game, the first down run that he had with the fake HB pitch out to the right. And then it did the cut special, man. Like you can't teach people that can move like that. Like that was a Lamar Jackson move, 100%. The shiftiness and the quickness of that. Of how he got in and out. He stopped playing and got in and out. Like, at the end of the day, when the play breaks down, you have a playmaker like that guy. And on the flip side, you had that with J.J. McCarthy, too, with Michigan at the same time, which is why he's still a playmaker, even though I don't think McCarthy's arm's consistent enough. But his feet are at the end of the day. McCarthy's a hell of an athlete along with Milroe. But he's experienced now, like Budenz was saying with the buy-in, like the trust of Bama with those guys. You didn't already need that little extra secret sauce, I think, of motivation, that little oomph to Bama that they usually have on their own, being undefeated and kind of what Georgia's been the last few years. But they have that, and it's like it's almost an underdog mentality, and like they've taken that on. And I think that's why I'm saying this in the Rose Bowl on New Year's Day, like this is almost my national championship as just a pure sports fan right here. Not taking anything away from Texas and Washington, but Miller's going to have to make a few plays on his feet when the coverage breaks down to make a man miss one-on-one with a linebacker or a DB in the open field and make a play with his legs at the end of the day, because they're going to run the ball. They're going to do some stuff here. You're going to get shut down. Michigan's defense, it's awesome. But I think Milroe's legs at the end of the day is going to be what sets it apart for them to have success.
And this is going to be a huge test for Michigan because really, you look at their schedule.
They haven't played.
I mean, the most impressive thing on their schedule is Ohio State, I think. I mean, other than that, they played crappy Big Ten schools. You had Penn State in there that they beat when Penn State was ranked 10, I think. But I think you have Michigan's defense. They have weapons on offense. I mean, Blake Corum, stud. You got Roman Wilson out at receiver, who's a stud. I think they got the talent and the team to beat Alabama. I don't know. I think looking at it,
JJ can do it if they stuff the run game, because Corum is not elite speed wise and agility wise. That's why he's still at Michigan. Like, he's a ground and pound, hit the tackles, hit the holes, and go. Like, if Alabama can clog some of those holes, you think JJ can do it?
I think. I mean, Georgia did it, and who'd they have last year? Bennett, or what was his name?
Stetson
Bennett. I mean, let's be real. Is he anything to? No, he's not. I think people
overrated Stetson Bennett. That boy was a dog in Georgia.
Dude, that's what I'm saying.
No,
man.
But listen, what I'm saying is people put way too much stock, and it's like if you don't have a Heisman quarterback, they're not going to be able to perform.
JJ's good, but like,
and he's in the Heisman race.
Like, he's good, but it's when they have the run game, he's good. Like, that's my thing. They've been able to establish the run almost all year, and they did it against Iowa. If Iowa had an offense, Iowa would have probably had a chance to beat them in that game. Like, that's how much they took away the run game. Like,
I don't know, dude. Me personally, just from a football standpoint.
They wouldn't.
Stop it, Ruckman. Just stop with the Iowa. Listen.
Bro, we didn't have anybody on offense. No shit, it was going to be a bad game. Like,
well, look at Michigan. I think. Well, take a look at Alabama. If they take away we
gave him the ball inside the 5 and inside the 20 in the first half, and when they still weren't even up more than 2 scores on us. Come on, like, if you're a good, that's also saying knocking Iowa how bad Iowa was. They should have blown them out, bro. It wasn't.
I'll tell you what, from a football perspective, just to chime in here about this, from a football perspective in general, just a coaching standpoint. If Alabama is able to force Michigan to become one-dimensional and the run is not necessarily taken away, but it's limited, and you talk about a guy like Corum, if it's limited between the tackles, Michigan's going to struggle a lot.
That's
a lot.
That's how their offense, and that's how they control the game. And
they utilize those inside the tackle runs. They utilize those inside the tackle runs to set up what McCarthy's best at, which is play action. And without setting up the run, there's no play action.
Now, if Corum has a good day and they win the line of scrimmage, Michigan gonna win that game. Like, that's
if they win in the trenches.
Yeah.
Well, here overall,
I'm not saying Michigan can't win this. That's not what I don't want to get that.
I get it.
And I believe that Alabama can win just as easy.
Yeah.
I think Michigan can take away what he's good at. Make him prove that he can beat you in the air.
Yeah.
Because take away his running game. That's the same thing. Take away Michigan's run game. Take away his ability to run, and then you got a game.
Yeah, but then the problem with that, you talk about taking away the ability to run the football as a quarterback, you still do have a running back. Whereas you talk about a running back, it's a little different. You're not necessarily terrified of McCarthy's legs. True. You're not.
He can also get out and run.
He can get out, but
McCarthy's.
Milroe's the best runner on the field.
He's athletic.
McCarthy can run.
I get it.
Athletic.
And that's fine. That's fine. But Milroe's the best runner on the field. Overall, Milroe's the best athlete on the field. So if you take away Milroe running the football, first off, you're not going to do it.
No.
Point blank, you're not going to be able to do it. You're not going to be able to contain him. You can't take away Lamar Jackson in a football game.
It's what else can they limit?
You can't take away his running ability.
Yes, you can.
If a quarterback is a clear-cut runner, it's pretty damn tough.
You can minimize it and then also take away other strengths that allow him then to open up his running game.
Most teams have figured out Lamar.
A quarterback
we can talk about.
Yeah,
a quarterback. No, that's
cap.
But
no, stop. We can talk about NFL.
No, we'll get there. But a quarterback in general, the reason that they're able, especially if you're a freak athlete as a quarterback, the ability to be able to run the football doesn't necessarily come from these RPO type plays. It's the ability to be able to step up in the pocket. And when you find holes like that, you can't take it away because you got linebackers, you got DBs that are they're pressed off in coverage and the D line's coming up. So then all of a sudden all that grass is open up. And that's where I think Milroe can beat you the most and honestly the deadliest is if he drops back into a pass and you got D linemen coming after him, but you got people backing up. He's got all that green grass in front of him, and it ain't necessarily an RPO design. So I think in this game, you're going to see a lot of situations where, one, Michigan's going to try to put pressure on him. Like you said, Carter, they're going to try to take away his legs. 100%. It's a key to victory right there. Mm-hmm. Take away the best runner on the field's legs. But ultimately, they're going to bring so many of those guys. Milroe's too fast on the outside. He's going to be able to get around guys like that. So if you can't at least limit it, I think Bama wins this game. I do. I think Bama wins this football game.
So
you want to talk about Washington, Texas?
Well, I was going to say, what are you guys thinking for Heisman?
Yeah, no, that was the other talking point. Like, numbers wise, it's Jaden Daniels at the end of the day. Like, it's not close in that aspect in my argument. Like, at the end of the day, but is the committee gonna vote him?
Well, they
have 3 or 4 losses. Like,
they got the finalists.
He's in the finals. It's Bo Nix, Jaden Daniels, Michael Penix, and then whatever Marvin Harrison Jr. got that invite for. I don't know what that was. Wide receivers in college football had better numbers, I guess, in sheer terms of what his targets was and his receptions, like his volume. It was so good. Like, it's not to take away from him, but there's Jordan Travis deserves to be on that list over.
I'm sorry to say it, but period. It's the same conversation when it comes to the MVP award, dude, in the NFL.
Yeah, but it's different.
It's a quarterback. It's a quarterback award.
Yeah, but it is. Like, it should be at the end of the day for the most part, bro. The quarterback's the guy who's touching the ball. It's the most important position in all of professional sports.
I'm not saying it's not.
But like, that's what I've heard some people that argue this thing. Like, you can't. It's the thing in the NFL right now. Like, if you to jump back to forth, like if some people are saying getting Tyreek Hill the MVP, which I 100% could agree with, but like then you also got to look at the quarterback who's throwing him the ball there with Tua and his numbers. Like, if Tua's not there, Tyreek's not doing that there. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, if you take that quarterback out, obviously you'd have somebody else to replace him there. Because like it's the bias of it with the quarterback position with the Heisman, the MVP, but at the end of the day, it's well warranted.
So is Penix winning this?
Yes.
Yes, because he's the only quarterback because he's the winning quarterback.
He should be. I think he should be the winner.
Jaden Daniels is the second quarterback ever to have 2,000 plus passing yards and 1,000 rushing. Like, those numbers
and damn near what? Didn't he have like a 7-8 touchdown game?
Yeah, like it's
dude's a freak.
I like Penix. I mean, I just like his style. He's poised. I mean, Washington. I mean, he's taken Washington from nowhere.
Yeah, but it's a win. But if they weren't in the playoff, would you say Penix is your Heisman?
No, you'd probably say Daniels.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing.
Well, Daniels,
if Bo Nix would have won last week, Bo Nix would have been the guy.
No, that's
thing, why I don't like it,
that's
because then it's more like a winning.
No, it is. It is. But it's the same for the NFL, dude. It's the same. When it comes down to things like this, it's not just an individual award. If Jaden Daniels had, like you said, if Jaden Daniels had his team winning and they were going to the college football playoff, he's probably a no-brainer.
But it's a little different when they describe the Heisman. Obviously, it's like the college MVP award, but they say it's like the best talent in college football. They don't.
Yeah, that's not
compared
what
to most valuable player. That's different wording than an MVP in my opinion.
I mean, Caleb Williams won last year. They didn't make the playoff.
Well, and overall,
Jaden Daniels numbers wise is the Heisman. Like that's my point in all this. Like how he's just going to get swept under the rug with those numbers in the SEC. Like, yes, SEC was down a little bit this year, but it's still
that's the problem SEC. Is because I think it's so based. It's stats plus record. Like realistically, if you're talking about talent in general, Caleb Williams is the most talented quarterback. He's the most talented quarterback in college football. Period. He's going to be the number 1 pick in the draft. He's the best. I'm not saying that his team was good at all, because they gave up points and they lost football games, but he's a better quarterback overall than Daniels, Penix, Nix. He is. But
you think?
We'll see.
Yes. Caleb Williams is a freak talent. And that excludes play calling, that excludes the offense he's in, that excludes
exactly. So that's I don't know.
It excludes
his mindset too.
I think you get in with the right system.
I don't think talent has anything to do with it.
Like if you get in the right system
mindset.
of Bo Nix in the NFL right now, Bo Nix could be a dog. You put Bo Nix with the 49ers right now in that offense, Bo Nix could be a dog.
Well, yeah, I mean, you put Brock Purdy in there.
Why?
Oh, you're right. You put Brock Purdy in there, and he's average.
Purdy's a stud.
Purdy's mediocre.
Purdy's a stud. I don't care what you say.
Let's do that transition. Let's do the transition.
Hold on, just give me a baseline of this Washington Texas game. We hardly touched on it.
This is a tough game. I think it could go either way, honestly.
I think the closer games and the battles that Washington's been in, they're more than battle tested. They were a 2-score underdog last week going in against Oregon. They're 9.5 dogs in that game. Came back, won that game. Oregon, there was people thinking Oregon was going to steamroll. I was one of those people. I thought that game might not be close. I thought Oregon was going to kind of stomp over them.
That was a fun game.
Making the plays. Like, those guys are experienced quarterback. And again, Ewers compared to him, Ewers has been inconsistent at times this year. There's been some football stretches at him that I've turned on and it's been like, all right, like he's still a good talent. Don't get me wrong. He can make plays in that day because they balled against, but it was Oklahoma State in the Big 12 title game at the end of the day. Like Washington beat Oklahoma, or they beat Oregon, excuse me. Oregon, 100% better than Oklahoma
Hear me
State.
Hear me out on this. Let me give you another stat.
Now look who wants to keep talking for college.
Just right now, think right now. The Washington Huskies are the 93rd nationally ranked defense in total defense, which would be the worst such ranked unit to win a national chip since the start of the BCS era.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying they're going to win it. Whoever wins the Bama-Michigan game is my pick.
Yeah, I think it's that side. Like you said,
like I don't
whichever
know
one you said
yet, but whoever I picked that's my title pick too.
Was it you, Gannon? Was it you, Gannon, that said this is the national championship game? Bama, Michigan,
100%.
Yeah, no, and it makes total sense. And I did say, like when we talked about Texas, I said I don't think they're as good as people put them out to be. And being able to see them in person, they played a terrible game against Iowa State, and that offense looked flat. And Ewers, I don't personally know how I feel about him.
And these good teams don't look flat majority of the year. Like that's the other knock against Florida.
No, the
State.
Regular season typically, if you're going to the playoff, you're dominant. You're dominant.
They had some bad halves against bad teams.
Bama wasn't dominant though.
No, but they've increasingly got better.
They have.
They've increasingly got better, and that's the thing with Bama.
That's a different type of team. Like that's a different type of vibe, in my opinion. I'm talking like that undefeated kind of conference title team. That's a little bit different.
I don't know. I do think that this game will be a shootout. I think there's going to be some points put up on the board.
I think it's going to be a little flat early on because both teams are going to feel it out. They're going to be a little starstruck being the playoff game right away. They got to get their feet wet a little bit. But yeah,
it's two newer teams. It's haven't seen Texas in a long time, and you haven't seen Washington. So it's like,
I mean, Sarkisian is going to help with his experience because he's been at Bama. Like he's been in some national titles and playoff stuff there with his experience there. Yeah. They've got some stuff that way. But yeah, it's both fresh for both teams and players.
All right, now let's make the transition. Yeah, let's go right into it. Talk about NFL in general. I mean,
we got a lot of good topics.
The season's heating up, man. I mean, we're at the
best time of the year.
We just wrapped up. What was it? Week 13. We're heading into week 14. We got 4 weeks left of the regular season. We got week 14, 15, 16, 17. We got 4 or 5. I can't do math.
Boys. Don't look now.
Don't look now. Green Bay. Let's go right into that. Green Bay Packers are getting hot. They are. I'll give it to them. They're getting hot. And
yeah, we hear the biased Bears fan over here. Green Bay sucks.
I got a lot to say about that game. I have a lot to say.
We could talk about KC being overrated, but we'll talk about the Green Bay Packers because I'm with Gannon in the sense that this football team, we want to talk about Alabama getting better. Green Bay's gotten better. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like
house money at this point.
When we talk about Green Bay, they started out the year horrendous.
No, we started okay. We were 2-1, and then it tanked. We started good.
Yeah, but those 2 games that you won, did you play good football?
Yeah, we killed the Bears.
The Bears suck.
Come on.
Yeah, but
we're talking about probably the second, third worst team in the NFL.
We were still 2-1 early on with some progress,
which we all knew Chicago would be like that.
And then it went on a 4-game losing streak or whatever that was. At the end of the day, like this is just house money, in my opinion. Regardless if we make it or not. Like people are like, you hear analysts now, people are like, Green Bay's a lock for this. Green Bay's going to make the playoffs. Like, yeah, there's a lot of favorable matchups. Our schedule looks good. You just don't know what's going to happen down the stretch here. So I'm still going to keep it reasonable because I'm still not like one of those fans that just go left and right, super crazy on the bandwagons like some other people like to do. But I just don't. I do know, but what I like to see is Jordan Love and the young wide receivers and some weapons to have a core of just young, talented guys. That some weeks it's this guy, some guy now. It's Tucker Kraft's been stepping up, but Luke Musgrave's out. Like, there's been playmakers. They're getting the ball in people's hands. Jaden Reed, like Romeo Dobbs, Dontavian Wicks, who was a favorite of mine these last couple of weeks, has been coming on strong that way. Like, it really was a Lions game that showed me some grit with this team. Like, they went on Thanksgiving into Lions place. Like, they've lost 4 out of the last 5, I think, against Detroit. Like, that's bad. Like, that's personal. Like, that's some team that we usually beat all the time in the division, so to speak, over my lifetime. Like, a lot of people are picking us to even have a chance in that game and to come out early with Sean Gary kind of having a coming out party. Like, that's some of the unsung heroes right now is this defense is playing some okay football. I'm not going to give them any crazy flowers or praises right now because they're still very thin on the DB side. I still don't know why we got rid of Rasul Douglas, but that's another discussion for another day. But Rashawn Gary, he had those tackles for loss, the sacks. Like, he's come out of a shell. There's been these young playmakers that you're waiting for to kind of come out of their shell, and they have been. They're playing with the house money. Like, these guys, like, good point I saw on Twitter, like, a lot of these guys' first prime time big game ever was Sunday Night Football against the reigning Super Bowl champs. Yeah, the flags at the end of the game. I'm just talking on the X and O's from start to finish. Like, yes, we got the win, so be it. It should have been a PI. There was other flags on the drive. Yes, you can call it what you want. But at the end of the day, there's growth week in, week out, not only out of the players, but with Matt LaFleur and his gelling with the play calling, which I think is a whole different story, which is something I threw under the bus a lot on these recordings earlier on this fall. And there's been growth on that side also.
Yeah.
And it's just fun to see because Jordan Love is talented enough to be that guy. Not saying he is yet.
No, you did. You did say to be
falling into place, man. It's falling into place in it's a good vibe. Like, if something happens and yes, we kind of fall out of it, you get a little hot streak, cold streak, whatever, so be it. There's flashes there. That's all you want to see out of the first year. And then the year 2 to year 3, those girls starting, obviously it's been year 4 now, but the starting wise, you just want to see flashes of good and greatness throughout the first year. And we've seen that so far, in my opinion.
No, I'll tell you what, I think when it comes to Green Bay, in my opinion, they're a lock to the playoffs. A lock. They're going to win 4 more games. They got 6 W's right now. We just got to see
if Minnesota keeps falling off because I think the Rams got a lot to say too.
Yeah, I'm not worried. I'm not worried about Minnesota, but we sit here and we think about it. This week they got the Giants W.
Yeah, no, like, it all sets up good, but now can this young team that now has it set in front of them saying, "Oh, look, what's at the end of this road here come the new year? You got this prize on the table. Now can they stay focused week in, week out and take care of business against teams that they should beat?" It's the NFL.
Good. It's not even just a should, bro. These are teams that
I know, but you can slip up and have a bad game and you throw a couple of picks and then you regress. Like, those are the realistic stuff of this that I'm still going through as a sports fan. But we haven't seen that yet, and they keep playing with this house money. The Lions and the Chiefs, those are 2 really good wins, regardless of who your quarterback and who your team is right now, in my opinion.
No, 1,000%. I just when I
it's better than the Cowboys wins. Like, give me the Pack or the Cowboys right now. I hope we play them in a wild card matchup first week. Send them.
That's going to be the losers. I mean, I saw something. The Packers, the last, I don't know, what did they say, 12 or 15-0 in December. And then look at January. That's my thing is,
dude. But I mean, just the playoffs and all that. We're jumping over. We're just talking about Jordan Love's progression right now. You're going right to the playoffs.
And I understand Jordan Love.
That's just getting your better. Vendetta. At the end of the day, you're going to take your grave about Aaron Rodgers not winning more Super Bowls. That's the only reason why you're saying this. Right
not
now.
Super Bowls, playoff wins.
Oh my god!
But what I'm saying is this:
you ever seen in your life?
Okay, cool. We've also had Mitch Trubisky and Jay Cutler.
Yeah, so what? Like, sorry, that's what you've had to sit and put up with your whole life.
Yeah, it's terrible.
So put that personal vendetta aside with Aaron Rodgers not winning anything. We're talking about Jordan Love and
if you let me finish,
Packers.
I'll explain. I agree. I think Jordan Love has improved. My thing, and they played good against Kansas City, but it should have been an L.
They got outperformed. I mean, Green Bay outperformed.
Green Bay beat them start to finish, bro.
Green Bay did. Dude, they outperformed them from the
jump. And I'm not saying we should have won that way, but, bro, we kicked their ass the whole game.
They outperformed.
We shoved it down their throat.
You did. And Carter, you're not going to agree with it because you hate that PI call, and I understand.
I hate that. That was.
It's a PI. We all know it.
It is. But they played better football all game. They did.
But those are calls, bro.
There it is. So you care about the call.
That is, yeah. I do care.
No, but we all do. But at the end of the day, Green Bay.
What do you see with Jordan Love? Realistically, I just want a personal assessment on what you see with Jordan Love as a football guy.
I actually
like his IQ, his pocket awareness, his footwork. What do you see? Because I see comfortable and getting more comfortable each week and more confident. That's what I see.
I would agree. I actually
he's more aware of his surroundings.
I would agree. No, I think he has played really good. Surprisingly, honestly, because at first with the Denver game, with the Steeler game, I was a little like
the Vegas game was bad.
The Vegas game was terrible.
We had 2-3 close wins right there.
But these last couple games, I mean, he has looked good. Your defense has improved. I think your defense has. I'm not taking anything away from him.
No, they've been okay. Yeah.
But I think your defense has put him in like that Detroit game. Those were layups. I mean, they took it away from Goff like twice in their own and Detroit's own territory.
You want to say Dallas? You almost said it.
Yeah, well, I got something to say about Dallas too. But no, I actually do. Like, I hate the Packers. You guys know that, but I think I have seen some progression with Jordan Love. I just was frustrated with that call. Because I think you can say, oh, they still would have had to score and get the 2-point.
I'm just frustrated with that hit that they called on Mahomes because I think the drive's different.
That's 15 yards. That's 15 yards.
That's way different.
I mean,
I just want to say, when it comes to Jordan Love, here's what I'll tell you. It's not that he's just improving. It's like physically getting better, but mentally, he's playing free football. He's playing as an athlete. He's playing in the sport that he's always
on the move. His angles with his arms.
That's what I'm saying.
Like
he's playing free. He's playing confident. And at the beginning of the year, and the role that he played the past couple of years, being a backup and learning under a legend in Rodgers, and being in that system, yes, he's been in the system, and people will talk about that all the time. Like why isn't Love performing? Blah blah blah. He's been a backup for
first
years.
Year with the weapons too.
No, but not even that. Not even that. He's been in the scheme. LaFleur's been there. It's been the same offense, but over time, people are going to sit there and knock Love at the beginning of the year because he's not out there performing when he knows the system. Blah blah blah. Has he physically been in the system and played regular season football for more than 3-4 games? No, he hasn't. Yeah. And at the beginning of the year, that's what it was. It's clouded judgment. It's not playing free because you're sitting there thinking about your reads. You got this read, go through your first read to your second to your third. And now he's progressed to that point where he's played 5+, 6+, 10+ football games now as a regular season football starter in the NFL, where it's less and less about the scheme each week. It's more and more about Love saying, okay, I got read here. I got read here. I know who's going to be there. I know what route he's reading. I know where the safety's coming, if he's going to come down, if he's going to back up. His reads and progressions are so much faster. When he snaps the football, pre-snap, all of that is improving, which means, in my opinion, it's less about the scheme and more about the player understanding he's an athlete, he's a stud football player, and that's why he's able to play free. It's a confidence thing. It's that X factor within his head. Any quarterback in the NFL, I'm telling you, any quarterback in the NFL can be successful, and I think we've seen it with Geno Smith, who struggled for years and years and years. Everything up there with Geno was all mental. Every quarterback that makes it to the NFL is talented, right? You wouldn't be in the NFL if you weren't talented. What a lot of guys can't get past is up here. Yeah. Sometimes it's too much for them. Sometimes it's too much, and they can't ever get to the point where they can get past that learning curve.
And I think it's a testament too, along with the growth of Love, is those young weapons around him, because you saw last year that Rodgers couldn't gel with certain guys for the young guys, like to get with the relationship building and all that. This is the fourth year now in the system for Love, but this is the first year, only second year with Watson and Dobbs, when those were all first team reps last year. Like, Love has not worked with any of these guys more than just the offseason and the mini camp stuff and the training camp like that. each of these weeks are new for those guys too. They're feeling each other out at the end of the day, while Love's only feeling himself out being a quarterback, and now also seeing what these young guys can bring to the table at the end of the day. It's a good relationship because majority of the time, being Packers fans, we don't have enough on offense with a good quarterback. And at the end of the day, it just sucks now that we have some position guys and some speed and all that it is a complete offense when they didn't give Rodgers. That's a whole different discussion too at the end of the day. But just to have that around with Love at the end of the day, some speed, some options, some different types of stuff, it's refreshing to see, not only for Love, but also for the young guys to make names for themselves.
Well, I want to build off that just one more second, because I think it's relevant for every quarterback that we see. And Gannon, you made the comment that there's a lot of starting quarterbacks that have gone down with injuries. So we've seen a lot of backup quarterback play this year. And we just got done watching Browning with Cincinnati have a hell of a game. So we know these backup quarterbacks are talented guys.
It's the system and who you're with.
It is.
Like,
it is.
Bryce Young. Bryce Young, you're already getting drugged through the mud with his name and stuff.
He is, and it's always going to be that way. It's the same. It's the same with Justin Fields, Carter. We know he's a freak talent.
And it all starts. Kirk Herbstreit said it on the Pat McAfee show. Good football teams have an offensive line at the end of the day. Like, that's where the bread and butter comes from with these teams. If you start any foundation or a tree of life with the team and organization, it's your
Dallas
quarterback.
Like Dallas has had for the last 20 years.
But we win. I'm not saying we win in the playoffs, but we win.
Yeah, but you got to have an elite quarterback with the O-line. They haven't had an elite quarterback, Budenz.
I don't necessarily think this is a little off tangent. I don't necessarily think you need an elite quarterback to win.
No, but I'm saying with the O-line. No, because he's got the weapons around him. Debo or one of those guys goes down, 49ers aren't winning.
Purdy's a stud.
You already seen how many losses they take when they're playing.
No, I 100% agree. If Debo goes down or Ayuk goes down or Kittle goes down.
Debo was different this last week against the Eagles.
He put on them black Air Force Ones.
Bro, that was old Debo. If they play like that, there's nobody beating him in the league. There's nobody beating him.
He wanted that Philly game, man.
There's nobody beating him when they play like that.
No, I mean, if we were to sit here and do power rankings all over again, San Francisco's back at 1.
Well, my 3 teams are changed, but they're still the same. Kansas City's still 3rd for me. They are. Woo. If you look at all Kansas City's loss, they've all been.
I'm not sailing the ship on KC at all.
No,
Carlson is.
No, Carlson is. He doesn't understand.
Carlson sold a month ago.
Listen, if you look at all Kansas City's losses before this Green Bay one, it's all been on a Mahomes dot, wide open drop balls. Now, that's still their team. I get Carlson's argument is, that's the receivers who they have. But it's not like they get blown out. It's not like they make stupid errors. It's Kansas City. They're going to figure it out. They lost to Green Bay. They may have got outplayed. They had a chance to win. There was a missed call. If you look at the one, who was it in overtime or about to get to overtime, he had where Valdez-Scantling dropped a wide open touchdown. And then the 4th and 20, whatever, same thing right there, right past the first down. It's not like they're getting blown out. Like the Philly got blown out. Dallas got blown out by – there's no blowout with Kansas City yet. These are all
I think
possession games.
I think the majority of play across the NFL, I think this is a different year because I was having this conversation with someone a couple of days ago. When it comes to the NFL, dude, there's a lot of piss poor football play this year. There's a lot of bad teams. There's a lot of bad football.
It's because half the quarterbacks in the league are out.
I'm talking even from the beginning, dude. And I get it. It's getting back into the swing of things week 1, 2, 3, 4, but even into week 6, week 7, and now we're sitting here going into week 14, there's been bad football. I mean, realistically, think about it. The NFC right now, if you want to talk about contending teams, if you want to talk about teams that you could envision winning a playoff game, winning 2 playoff games and entering the Super Bowl, I think you got tier 1, Philly, or San Fran and Philly, tier 2, probably Dallas, and then it's quite a drop-off. Tier 2 is Dallas. Don't argue with me on that. They are. They're the number 3 team in the NFC right now.
Again, their best win Seattle. We're going to see when they play some of these good teams now.
That's fine, but right now
Dolphins are ahead of them. Dolphins have better wins. Dolphins better than Dallas.
Dude, the AFC. Talk about the AFC. We've always talked about the AFC being good. The AFC's bad this year.
Bro, the NFC with the wild card here, if the Rams, I think the Rams still have something to say too with some of this to go with Matt Stafford. They can get a little healthy. The Ravens are better than the Cowboys too. Like, what are we talking about here?
I mean, I guess we're not going to know
because
they're not
dropped
going to
off
play
the
each other.
tier. You just think the Cowboys are a top three team and nobody else.
If you mention the Rams being a playoff team, I mean, you talk about quality wins. Dallas beat the Rams, beat the brakes off the Rams.
Yeah, okay, cool. Like,
well, I'm just saying, you're talking about them being a playoff team. It's beating the Packers.
So if we're talking about that, the Packers beat the Rams, Lions, and the Chiefs. Those are better than the Cowboys wins. So if you're doing that, the Packers are better than the Cowboys.
I'm not saying they're better. I'm not necessarily saying they're better. I'm saying Dallas is still a top 3 NFC team, hands down.
They got to win. They got to beat Philly this week. They got to show us that they can beat a good team. Seattle's not even in the playoffs.
They're a top 3 team in the NFC. You can't tell me it's not San Fran, Philly, and Dallas right now in the NFC. It is.
I mean, you could make the. I mean,
it's San Fran and Philly, but after that, you don't know. Philly's already beat Dallas.
I just said tier 1, tier 2. I said tier 1, San Fran, Philly.
Detroit's tier 2.
Yeah,
you probably put them there. Put Dallas, Detroit.
Probably they beat the Chiefs. They got a better win already than the Cowboys. Probably they already are established. The Cowboys are not established yet. They haven't beaten anybody. Yeah, in a week from now, I might be saying something different because they might beat the Eagles coming up on Sunday Night Football.
I think this is a tough spot for the Eagles, though. Look at the Eagles' schedule; it's insane who they have remaining.
Well, Dallas's schedule is insane.
Dallas is the same.
Dallas has a harder schedule,
but
Dolphins are hot.
The rest
not
of Philly's
this
schedule.
Game.
The rest of Philly's schedule after Dallas is not that.
They got Giants
twice,
Dan.
But they're in the middle of this pack of who they play: Buffalo.
Yeah, they won all those games.
Niners.
Other than the
Cowboys.
49ers, they won them.
That's a tough stretch.
Well,
they beat Dallas the Cowboys,
Dallas
Chiefs,
is going
and Dolphins.
Seattle, Philly, Detroit, Buffalo, Miami.
Yeah,
that's a gauntlet.
Yeah, and they got.
That's what I said. That's what I said episodes ago. That's what I said episodes ago.
Like barely. Made Geno Smith look like an all-pro again. He hasn't been good all season.
Well, that's one thing.
That's the other thing we're going to get into this. Talk about the liabilities. Yeah, Philly's got the liability on defense too, but the Cowboys are bad. Cowboys are bad on defense.
I'm going to agree with you.
I don't know what happened, Carlson. Let me ask you what. I got two things. What happened with the defense other than Trayvon Diggs being out? Number one. Number two, is Mike McCarthy's back surgery going to play a factor?
He had appendix surgery.
Appendix.
He's Big Mike's going to be on the sidelines. Big Mike's going to be.
Yeah. For sure. I'll answer that right away. No question. No question.
Big Mike will be eating a Big Mac tomorrow night and feeling good again.
Dude, so they interviewed Dan Quinn today.
Yeah.
And they asked him. They were like, well, what's his role? Like, what's McCarthy? Is he going to be on the sideline? And Dan Quinn said that big old Italian guy will be on the sideline, hands down. But like, someone did prove post a good point that I didn't think about. Like, I don't want to analyze this too deep or anything, but like having appendix surgery like this, we've all seen, especially after last week with the Kamara incident on the sideline, the dude on the sideline breaking his leg. You guys seen that video?
That was crazy.
I saw it live.
So the sideline's a dangerous place, right? So if McCarthy's on the sideline, he's vulnerable. So if he takes a shot, like it could kill him. So is it 100% certain that Mike McCarthy will be in attendance? Yes. But is it 100% certain that he'll be on the sideline? I don't know. He might be in the booth.
He doesn't do a whole lot anyway.
I give Mike McCarthy tons of credit after I bashed him weeks and weeks ago. I do. And right now we're the number one offense in the league when it comes to points scored.
Because you're
playing bad teams.
It's still a stat. It's still a stat. Right now, we have the most points scored.
That's all it is.
We have the most points
Dak
scored.
also has probably the most touchdowns.
Yeah, he thinks Dak's MVP. That's what he told me earlier.
Dak is the MVP right now. He is.
Tua, if you're doing that.
But you can't argue with me. If you don't agree with that Dak's the MVP, Dak is top 3 in the voting right now.
Yes, playing against bad football teams, dude.
But he's still a top 3 MVP candidate.
Still, you can't be still when you're not playing good football teams, bro.
I think Tyreek's MVP. He should be MVP.
I think we can all agree on that. I mean, Tyreek Hill's having a
ball.
season.
Like I think then you say Tua.
I know, but you can't take that away.
He's throwing to an Olympian sprinter. He's throwing to a guy who you can't cover.
Yeah,
you
but
can't
you can't
cover
underestimate what Tua does with the ball.
Zach Wilson could throw it to Tyreek Hill.
No, he can't.
I mean, I don't think you can take away from Tyreek Hill. Oh, he's got a.
I'm not taking away, but if you take Tua out of there, it's a different story. Like
I agree.
People said that.
Tyreek
people said that when he had
yards
Mahomes.
with every quarterback in the league.
People said the same thing with Tyreek when he was, get someone other than Mahomes and see what he does.
Well, that's because Tyreek.
Yeah, because Tua's still a top-end quarterback, though.
Right, but you're going to take it. So you're going to say we're not going to look at him being MVP because he has Tua throwing the ball. So Tua should be the MVP.
That's what I'm saying. No, that's my point.
No.
So who's the MVP, Carter?
Tyreek.
Okay, if it's not Tyreek, who is it? Because it's going to be a quarterback. There's realistically right now, quarterback-wise, there's 3 options.
And who do you think? Dak?
Right now, 3 options are Tua, Dak, Hurts. It is. That's the truth. And Gannon does have a point. I mean, yes, there are.
So if Tyreek hits 2,000 yards,
they get the 1 seed in the AFC.
I do ultimately think it will end up being Tua. I do ultimately think it will be Tua.
I also do think what happened to him last year is also, I think, gonna lift votes. What happened to Tua last year with the injuries and the scare, I think that's going to lift it. How are you not going to get it to Tyreek if he's the first receiver ever to have 2,000 yards? How?
Yeah, I agree. I'll tell you what. Tyreek's not the best wide receiver of all time. He's the best Olympic sprinter football catcher of all time. Is what Tyreek is. Because you can't categorize him as a wide receiver because he's not. He's literally an Olympic sprinter football catcher.
But he can catch the hell out of the ball.
That's what I'm telling you. He's an Olympic sprinter football catcher.
All right, so let's break down this Dallas Philly game. Both got horrendous defenses at the moment. Limping defense.
Let's not say horrendous. Dallas' defense is still better than Philly's.
No, it's
both have been horrendous.
Yes, it is. Philly's defense is horrible.
No, they're not.
Geno Smith was living under a rock after last year being the comeback player of the year, and you made him look like an all-pro again.
They got a better D-line.
Stop it.
No question.
You made DK look good again. DK is not having a good year. Like you guys,
I'll agree.
You have no cover corners.
Seattle's offense has been
Bland could have
pretty
2
bad.
picks, and you guys are still going to get beat.
And they didn't have Kenneth Walker.
I'd say, Charbonnet played a pretty.
That's
good
the other thing.
game.
You can ground and pound against Dallas. Their front 7's small as shit.
No, you're right. Our front, we're small.
That's why I think
Philly's defense is better because of their front 7.
I do too.
I think linebackers scare me. Linebackers scare me in Philly.
Yeah, well, they got Leonard. They got another reinforcement. You guys couldn't get him over there.
Don't remind me.
But what's your honest opinions for both sides? What do you think the Eagles need to do to be effective along with the Cowboys? Let's not make this one-sided. Let's break down the Eagles.
No, that's fine. Dude, come on. I mean, ultimately, when it comes to this game, we saw what happened last game. I don't think this game's going to be anything like it. I think when we sat and watched it, and the other night I heard a pretty key point, and I do think CeeDee Lamb will have another incredible game. But my thing is, it's not enough to beat Philly when CeeDee Lamb goes for 150 and 2 tuds or 1 tud. Ultimately, it's going to have to be more than CeeDee Lamb getting yards after the catch, scoring touchdowns. It's going to come down to our defense.
Option? Who's the other option though on the offense?
It has to. I think the X factor in this game is Ferguson.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to Jake Ferguson,
they need a wide receiver too. That's also another issue.
Cooks has been playing great lately,
but that shouldn't be your top 2.
Why not?
It's a good 3 in my opinion. Brandon Cooks is not in the league.
You're just going to say that because of his age, but I think
I'm just saying because of how good CD is. There needs to be somebody else there. That's my point. That's the whole discrepancy.
It's fair, but we're going to look at it, and it's ultimately going to look much worse than what Philly has. When you look at Devontae Smith and AJ Brown, Devontae Smith could arguably be a 1 somewhere else.
He's playing these last couple of games. He's been balling.
Dude, just the way that guy can make contested football catches for his size is unbelievable.
Dude, that run he had, the dude is like this big around. He's phenomenal.
Well, then AJ Brown's built like a linebacker. That dude, you don't want to tackle him. I don't know what person in their right mind, if you were 10 feet away from AJ Brown, would say, I could tackle him.
Tackle him or DK.
I think this is going to be a battle of defense.
That's what I'm saying. I think
whoever has the defense is going to win.
Who can make more plays?
I agree.
Because I think, and also get to Dak, pressure Dak, make him get out.
That's when Dak's not good.
Pressure him. That's when Dak can sit back there and throw.
Yeah, he can't throw with pressure.
Pressure him, make him get out of the pocket, move. That's where Philly's going to have, and I think they're going to do that. I think Philly still has a better defense than Dallas. Obviously, last week it didn't look very good, but you also have Debo, who's one of the best he arguably one of the best in the league. The Niners offense is completely stacked. They made Dallas's defense look the exact same as Philly's defense. So I think this is going to be a battle of the defense and who's not going to be able to turn the ball over. If you turn the ball over, both of these offenses can score. So I think it's going to come down to making Dak make errors.
Yeah.
I think that's what Philly needs to look at is we need him to make bad plays. Throw the ball.
And personally, I think the same goes for Jalen Hurts, who, when you look at it, he hasn't beat incredibly good teams either. He hasn't played incredibly good football this year.
I think the biggest thing, they got to establish the run, man. They got to run the ball more early.
I'm worried about DeAndre Swift. I'm worried.
No, I'm just saying though, in general, they got to establish more. What'd you say? Run.
That walk-off against Buffalo.
Dude, Swift's a stud.
No, I'm talking about.
Are you talking about Hurts? Run?
Hurts.
Yeah. That's the same thing when we talk about Milroe, dude. When you drop back to a pass, it looks like a pass, but it's a designed run. That's when quarterbacks are lethal. Because it's a designed run. In all reality, I think when it does come down to it, this game, I'm taking Dallas by 10. I don't think it's going to be anything like last game. And I'll tell you what, I think Micah Parsons is going to have the best game of his season. 2-3 sacks, forced fumble. I think he's going to put a lot of pressure on Hurts.
Is this what you think or what you want?
Oh, it's both. Clear as day, both.
More what you want. I think that's.
I do think arguably, Dallas has been the best at home. I wish I could have the stat in front of me. Regardless, dude, they're like 13-0 at home. Like 13-0 at home. I didn't pull up the stat. I didn't know the number. This leaks into last year. It leaks into last year, dude. Ultimately, Dallas has been
nothing to do
terrifying at home.
It could also come down to the run game.
Exactly. That was going to be my other point.
Can you get Pollard going?
Can Pollard kind of keep some momentum because he has been more of a factor these last few weeks?
He has. He was a big factor against Seattle. But you're playing Seattle's defense is terrible.
Yeah, they're not good.
And
Seattle's not that good of a team.
And Dallas for you to say Dallas has a better, they got 30 high 30s dropped on them. Really? Is Geno Smith that good?
Dude, they're not even in the playoffs.
We're like 12-0, 13-0 our last 13 games at home.
That's cool.
I'm just saying, it's a hostile environment for Philly to come in.
Usually in those big division games, it splits typically.
Give me Jake Elliott last second field goal.
All right. You think, score-wise, it's going to be a high-scoring game?
34-31.
See, it's another high-flying game.
See, I don't think so.
You think it's going to be a dud?
I think it's going to be if we're a betting man, I think I'm taking whatever the line comes out, I think under.
Dallas is favored -3.
Yeah, but what's the over? What's the over and under on that game?
I haven't seen it.
It'll show it. I don't know.
I'm sure it's quite a few points.
What time is that game?
Sunday Night Football.
Sunday night.
It should be, but Dallas always gets prime time. 51.5.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's pretty high.
Yeah. No, but it's very like I was talking to Ludi Carter. I was talking to Ludi about Dallas. Last week he was asking me about Dallas Seattle and yes, it was a Thursday night game, so I didn't really know what to say when it comes to points, but I did tell him. I said, dude, Dallas is guaranteed 20 to 30 every game. It's in my opinion, it's a lock. Dallas is going to score 20-30, and I think it's a lock. Philly's going to score 20-30. So 51.5 is reasonable to me. I think no question they'll probably be around that amount of points. What are their game in the 30s is that's what I'm thinking.
Their last matchup was 51.
51
total. But you look at the Cowboys, they're putting up, and then the Chargers was probably their lowest scoring game of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Chargers was the lowest scoring at 20.
Yeah.
So
that's guaranteed 20-30.
Worst defense in the league.
Or no, I'm sorry. The Niners was the lowest scoring.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about wins they've had.
Yeah, Chargers.
So it's going to be a great. I mean, I'm really looking forward to that game.
We might have to hop on here after a Cowboys W.
Because I'm really interested to see what Dallas does with all the. I mean, it's a sandwich spot for.
My biggest thing is can Dak win a big primetime game? Something's on the line. We'll see it. We're gonna have to see him win a game here. When's the last time you beat Philly? Would you guys split last year?
Yeah, we did. We split. The problem was last year was such a weird.
But this is such a transcendent win right now to get to the same.
No, it is. It's a massive game.
This is like the Super Bowl right now for the Cowboys.
No, it is. It's a massive football game. You're tied for first place in your division.
Yeah, but if you lose this, then you're gonna be playing a wild card game on the road.
No, it's a massive football game.
But at the same time, you're still making the playoffs.
In my opinion, I hate to say it, but I do still think Philly wins the division just solely based on their schedule the rest of the way compared to ours. Like based on who we're going through. Like if we lose 2 more games, Philly's taking it. I mean, they're at 2 losses right now. They'll be after 3 after we beat them this weekend. But yeah, we'll be splitting. But when you talk about last year's matchups, Gannon, we did split. But last year was the year. I don't know if you remember. Last year was the year. First time we played them around, it was Cooper Rush versus Hurts. Philly beat us. Second time around, it was Dak versus Gardner Minshew. We beat them. Dak and Hurts. Last time we played them, that Dak and Hurts. That's the first time we've seen it in a minute.
Yeah, so Dak can't beat Hurts. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We need to see this.
It's not Dak can't beat Hurts, dude. I mean, we put up points.
Yeah, it got beat though.
We put up points.
To see Sunday night.
It just frustrates me because that last game, man, was a game of inches. Game of inches.
Was.
I think that's a good wrapping point.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited. I think Philly's gonna. I wouldn't be surprised though if Philly lost.
No,
not because winning. Dallas. And honestly, not because of Dallas.
No credit.
I'm not saying Dallas is bad. I don't think Dallas, and to Gannon's point, I always look at playoffs. You guys know, you guys hate when I do that.
So I haven't seen your team's never been there.
True. Can Dak win in a regular season? Yes. Yeah, can he win in the playoffs when there's actually stuff on the line? You're in the playoff. You're fighting for the first round, right? You're fighting for the division.
That's what I'm saying. Can he go above and beyond and win this big time game right here?
I put more stock into.
But here's my thing before we close this out. Like, if Dak, like, I want to know what is your guys' reaction going to be if we lose this football game by 7 or 3 points and Dak
then
throws
you still can't win a close big game.
But is that on Dak if he throws for 300 and 3 touchdowns?
Yes.
How? See that you
done more.
You just screwed yourself saying that, dude. That makes no sense.
Carlson, that makes I always go back to this.
It ain't the quarterback if you throw for 300, 3 tuds and lose by 3 or 7.
No,
that ain't the quarterback.
Listen. You have to look at the rest of the game, from the whole game, because and I've always made this argument to Carlson. When you're down, when Dallas is down, they're going to air the ball out. Teams are playing prevent. Dak is going to
rack
playing
up prevent
yards
throughout the game.
You get what I'm saying.
You're playing coverage. That makes it harder. You're playing coverage.
You can look back at all Dak's years, bro, and he's going to have the big yards. He's going to have the touchdowns. But look at the game. Look at the whole game. If you're down 20 or you're down 15.
And you come back and win football games, that's not garbage time.
And and not come back and win. You come back and make it close.
That's a comeback. All his yards. It's a comeback. If any other quarterback if Josh Allen did that, you'd respect the hell out of it because he came back and put his team in a position to win a football game. It's the same for Dak. It's just, but it ain't about if he won. He put his team in a position to win the game. Sometimes it's more than just the quarterback that needs to go your way. Like when we saw Dallas last time they played Philly, Jake or Schoonmaker being down on the half-yard line, being down
on a better ball, so he didn't fall down.
Here we go. See, that's the thing. That's the thing. It's not always just the quarterback. Yes, are they the most valuable, most important? Yes.
I think
Is it always on them to win you the football game? No. If Dak throws for 300 yards and 3 tuds and loses by 3, that game is probably not going to end up being on Dak unless it ends in a Dak interception. Then you look at it and you're like, okay, Dak needed a better game-winning drive and he couldn't get it done. Then yes, I'll sit here and agree with you till the end of time that Dak needed to do more. But if we lose that football game because, like Gannon said, Jake Elliott kicks a game-winning field goal, don't come back on here and tell me that game's because of Dak.
We'll see.
Lost another big game. It's a whole Cowboys thing.
Dak lost a big game. Not the Cowboys. Not the Cowboys.
I literally said they're both the same thing as what I'm talking about. It's the whole Cowboys front, and Dak's a cover boy because he's the quarterback.
It's just like Rodgers and the Packers. It's the same thing.
We actually at least got to some games. We at least
you just got one round further.
I mean, we at least got a ring. Well, you guys sitting there never seen a Super Bowl, but it's okay.
We'll get there one day. We'll get there one day.
So the Bears. Let's go.
Regardless,
still going to get 30 piece by San Fran and whatever round you play.
Appreciate everyone tapping in. Excited to tap back in with you guys probably next week, the week after, whatever it is, and talk about the Cowboys coming out on top against the Philadelphia Eagles. Excited to chop that one up with Carter and Gannon because I know they won't give credit where credit is due.
Yep, another loss.
We got to show it.